The cafe buzzed with Friday evening energy, but all Sarah could hear was silence, the deafening kind that comes when you realize the person who promised to stay has already walked out the door. She sat frozen in her wheelchair, her untouched cappuccino growing cold, watching couples laugh and share desserts, while the weight of abandonment pressed against her chest. 32 years old, and she'd finally gathered the courage to try again, to believe that maybe, just maybe, someone could see past the chair, past the limitations, past everything that made her feel invisible in a world built for people who could walk away, literally. Marcus had seemed different online. Funny, attentive, asking about her favorite books and her dreams of opening an art gallery. For 3 weeks, their messages had felt like sunshine breaking through years of clouds. He'd suggested this cafe, promising it was wheelchair accessible, promising he'd be there at 6 sharp. He'd been there for exactly 12 minutes. "I'm sorry," he'd said, standing awkwardly beside the table, his eyes darting everywhere except at her face. I didn't realize. This isn't going to work. You seem great. But I can't." He hadn't even finished the sentence before backing away, nearly tripping over his own feet in his rush toward the exit. Now Sarah sat alone, fighting back tears, her purse clutched in her lap. She'd called a rideshare, but the app showed 20 minutes until pickup. 20 minutes of sitting here, feeling the weight of curious glances and pitying stares. 20 minutes of wondering why she'd ever thought this time would be different. "Daddy, why is that lady crying?" The small voice cut through Sarah's spiral. She quickly wiped her eyes, looking up to find a little girl, maybe 5 years old, with wild curls and bright, curious eyes staring directly at her. Behind her stood a tall man in an expensive suit, his phone in one hand and a takeout bag in the other, looking mortified. "Lily, sweetheart, we don't," he started. But his daughter had already walked closer. "Did someone make you sad?" Lily asked, her head tilted with the kind of pure, uncomplicated concern only children possess. "Because my daddy says when people are sad, we should help them feel better." Sarah managed a weak smile. "I'm okay, sweetie, just waiting for my ride." The man, probably late 30s, with kind eyes and tired lines around them, stepped forward. "I apologize for my daughter's—" He stopped, really looking at Sarah for the first time, and something shifted in his expression. Not pity, recognition maybe, understanding. "You're not okay," he said quietly, then seemed to catch himself. "I'm sorry, that's presumptuous. I'm James Mitchell, and this is my daughter Lily. She's—" "Right, though. We don't like seeing people sad." He glanced at the empty chair across from Sarah, the 2 menus still lying there like evidence of a crime. Bad date? Something about his directness, the lack of awkward dancing around the obvious, made Sarah's carefully constructed walls crack. You could say that. He lasted about 10 minutes before deciding that. She gestured to her wheelchair. This was more than he bargained for. "Then he's an idiot," James said simply. Lily nodded vigorously. "A big idiot," the little girl agreed, making Sarah laugh despite everything. "Lily, that's not—" "Well, actually, you're not wrong," James admitted. He looked at Sarah, then at his daughter, then at the takeout bag in his hand, and seemed to make a decision. "Listen, I know this is going to sound strange, but would you mind some company? Lily and I were just heading home to eat Chinese food and watch Frozen for the 47th time, but honestly, if I have to hear 'Let It Go' one more time tonight, I might lose my mind." "Daddy!" Lily protested, giggling. Sarah blinked, caught off guard. "You don't have to—" "I know I don't have to," James interrupted gently. "But here's the thing. 3 years ago, I was sitting in a hospital cafeteria at 2 in the morning, alone after my wife died. A janitor, complete stranger, sat down and talked to me about baseball for an hour. Didn't offer condolences or advice, just stayed. It saved me that night." He set the takeout bag on the table. "So if you don't mind, I'd like to pay that forward. No pressure, no pity. Just company while you wait for your ride." Something in his voice told Sarah he meant every word. She found herself nodding. "Okay." James smiled and sat down, Lily immediately climbing into the chair Marcus had vacated. "So what were you hoping to order before Captain Charming fled the scene?" Over the next 20 minutes, something unexpected happened. James wasn't treating her like a charity case or a broken thing to be fixed. He asked about her work as a graphic designer, genuinely interested in her portfolio on her phone. He told her about running his family's construction company, about the stress of single parenthood, about Lily's obsession with collecting rocks. Lily, meanwhile, had pulled out a coloring book and was showing Sarah her artwork, a somewhat abstract rendering of a unicorn. That looked more like a demented horse. "It's beautiful," Sarah said and meant it. "I made it for Daddy." "But you can have it," Lily announced, tearing out the page. "Because you have a pretty smile and I don't like when pretty people are sad." Sarah's throat tightened. "Thank you, sweetheart." When Sarah's rideshare notification finally came through, she felt an unexpected pang of disappointment. James walked with her to the entrance, Lily holding Sarah's hand. "Thank you," Sarah said, looking up at him. "You didn't have to do this." "Neither did that janitor," James replied. "But kindness isn't about obligation. It's about seeing someone and choosing to show up." He paused, then continued, "Look, I'm going to give you my card. Not because of pity, not because I'm hitting on you, though full disclosure. You're stunning, and that guy was definitely an idiot. But because I think you're interesting, and Lily clearly adores you, and maybe we could be friends. Friends grab coffee. No pressure. No expectations." Sarah took the card. James Mitchell, CEO, Mitchell Construction, and felt something shift inside her. Not hope exactly, but something close. The possibility of it? "I'd like that," she said softly. 2 months later, Sarah was back at the same cafe, but everything was different. James sat across from her. Not in an empty chair left by someone who couldn't see her worth, but as someone who'd proven consistently that he did. They'd had coffee 7 times, dinner 3 times, and one memorable afternoon at the zoo with Lily that had ended with all 3 of them covered in ice cream. "Penny for your thoughts?" James asked, reaching across the table to take her hand. Sarah smiled, thinking about that awful Friday evening, about Marcus's retreat and her tears, about a little girl with wild curls and a man who'd chosen kindness over convenience. "I was just thinking," she said, squeezing his hand, "that sometimes the worst moments lead to the best ones. That stranger who saved you in that hospital cafeteria," he started a chain reaction, "you passed it to me. And now you're stuck with us," James finished, grinning. "Lily's already planning our wedding, by the way. She's insisting on a unicorn theme." Sarah laughed, really laughed, the sound pure and unguarded. "Tell her I'm in." Because that's what she'd learned from a chance encounter in a cafe. That real connection isn't about perfection or convenience. It's about people who see you, truly see you, and choose to stay. Not out of obligation, but because some souls recognize each other. And some kindnesses echo forward in ways we can never predict. And sometimes, when you're left alone and broken, the universe sends you exactly what you need. A CEO with takeout, a little girl with wisdom beyond her years, and a reminder that the best love stories don't begin with perfection. They begin with presence,